transferred or transported through this substance, water. So water is very important in carrying this information, but going back to the reciprocal theory, what I always say is that, there's currently, I think the world is more operating on a, there's love, people giving love, and there's also people being grateful. But how I see it is, if you look at the molecular formula for water, which is H2O, I believe that the hydrogen is gratitude and oxygen is love. So there needs to be one love, which is a very active energy, or a positive energy, but also there also needs to be a balance where there's more gratitude, because that is more of a receiving, more passive energy. So currently I think the world is more operating on a, one love and one gratitude sort of aspect, and I feel that this is creating some of the imbalances in the world, and it needs, one more gratitude in order to not have the world go into this destructive mode because it's out of balance. But when I think about how, your question about the water changing within us, if we can understand how important love and gratitude is, and also the ratio of it, it'll create a more efficient and positive and more balanced world. The experience that I've had is actually in a dream. It's more so like a nightmare. Ever since that I've can remember, so when I'm from very, very young, I've had this same dream or nightmare over and over again for the last, for about 50 years. What this dream entailed was that the mountains would collapse and the ocean would divide, and there would be volcanic actions, and there would be war and battles fought. And in amidst all of this chaos, I find myself battling or trying to escape from that chaotic and horrible scene. And, over and over again, this type of nightmare I saw for about 50 years. So now, I no longer see this nightmare, only because in 1999, I published my first water book, Message from Water, and for some reason or the other, from that point forward, I never really saw any nightmare that I've been seeing for the last 50 or so years. For me, I just feel like I got this message or received this message from whoever, that this lifetime, my mission or my purpose is to somehow spread the message about the importance of water, or something to do with water, so that the end of the world, or, that movie-like nightmare scene that I've been seeing for the last 50 years will not happen. So I feel that ever since then, 1999, I've been on this sort of an innate mission to avoid a tragic ending to the world, as I've seen in my nightmares. I've been walking around the world doing what I do now, as people know of me as the Water Crystal Man, and, doing a lot of talk about water and so forth. But I must tell you that before all of this happened, my seminar work started when I was, when I published that Message from Water. And up until that time, I was really an ordinary man. I was very strong in wanting to support justice in any shape or form, but other than that, I find myself, knowing myself as just being an ordinary man. So when I first, started receiving all these requests to do seminars and workshops and so forth, I thought to myself, how come an ordinary man like me gets to do these things? Like, I felt very much not so confident that I was the right person to be doing this. However, for the first 2 or 3 years, I felt like, well, it's very interesting, and it's something that I kind of want to do right now, so maybe I might dabble in it a little bit. But after 2 or 3 years, and the more that people knew about my work, and more people took interest in water itself, they started looking at me as if like I'm the water savior or some kind of a guru. So then I started to feel a little uncomfortable about that, because I felt like that wasn't what this whole movement or what I do is about. Actually, one one of the interesting experiences that I've had in the past is this past life, not regression, but past life reading psychic clairvoyant person that I met on the road. She actually told me that in the past life I was some kind of a water guru during the Mayan time and also during the Native Indian time, Native American time. And that, however, the reason why I'm back on this earth this time and still doing what I do today is because I became too much of a guru. And I was not, I didn't have my 2 feet on the ground too much, so I needed to redo what I wasn't finished or completed in my past life. So therefore, I've come to do what I do today. So whenever I, start talking about anything about Mayan or anything, it really is an interesting topic for me, and it makes me very much happy, and I feel very connected to the whole thing. So, I just have a lot to talk about. I am blessing the water and doing all these ceremonies not only because I think that it's making a specific connection to decreasing fear or hate or anger. But in conclusion, of course, I believe that that's what's happening, and I do have that intention of one intention that I do have is about world peace. So essentially, that is what's connecting to it. And I think that not just myself doing these water ceremonies, but other people around the world, whatever that they're blessing or praying for or what have you, eventually it all stems from just blessing the water. I mean, it is all connected to water. On the 17th of July at 11:11, there's going to be a time when everybody in the world will come together at that specific Greenwich time, actually, to pray. Greenwich time, actually, to pray for water or for peace. And I'm actually going to be in Bulgaria at this time, and their local time would be 1:11. But I'm already planning for all of us to come together to pray for world peace and healing of the world at that specific time.